Joining us now with stories trending around the world, color coding, compliant, she got the memo, is OjyOkpe. Don't worry being the odd person out. The person who stands alone is the strongest person in the room.
She's always a strong woman.
Thank you.
But you know that my color code is, I always respect the color code. Rufy on fire!
Rufy on fire!
And your glasses, what's going on, Rufy? What's wrong with
Boala wants one of my Meta glasses. I can give him one.
Oh, is this Meta? Is it?
As a government official,
It's Meta.
government official wake up on Monday morning, and like I've also asked Boala, you should provide my alleged suspension letter. You know, because they said they
Was he
suspended.
the one that said so?
I think for the records, it's important to actually say the records.
So they must provide my suspension letter.
I think I saw some. Let me see.
So Boala,
No,
I've challenged
was not
you.
suspended.
Nigerians,
Come on, guys. For what?
Boala,
exactly.
a government spokesperson that said I was allegedly suspended, must provide, or if he doesn't provide, it's an indictment on this government that the spokespeople of this government
I didn't know you did that. All right. Well,
That's
all right.
just it.
Well,
So,
all right.
President Tinubu, tell Boala
Let me
to
see.
provide
Let
my
me see if
suspension
there's
letter. And if he
new.
wants a copy of my Meta glasses, I will give him one.
For the records, you were not suspended.
Never. I
You
went
went on a
on
well-deserved...
Please,
All right,
you
all
know
right. Can we start
I'm
the show?
analog. Which one is called Meta glass?
That's
Dr.
what,
Abati
is that what don't worry.
What is
I'm
the
sure-
Meta glass?
I'm sure Rotus has brought this story plenty times on business. Even the last time I saw him with one.
Where is
as
the
well.
guy? So he
Well,
says
all
I'm not
right.
getting
Well,
the Meta
welcome
glass. I'm
back.
like, kidding me?
Welcome back.
Well, I've been waiting
Welcome
for
back,
years.
Rufai. Your fans have
Thank you.
missed you.
I miss them so
I hope you
much.
had a good time,
I
really.
miss them.
Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending in the Republic of Benin, discussing reactions to the attempted military coup, which was thwarted by the government after soldiers appeared on national television early Sunday morning, claiming to have seized power. A group of at least 8 soldiers, led by Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri, stormed the country's state television, announcing the removal of President Patrice Talon and the dissolution of all state institutions. The soldiers, identifying themselves as Military Committee for Refoundation, declared the suspension of the Constitution and all political party activities until further notice. They also claimed to have closed the country's borders, resulting in unrest in parts of the country, with a group of demonstrators chanting "Down with Talon" and expressing support for the mutinous soldiers. Well, barely 12 hours after gunfire first rang out in several neighborhoods in Cotonou on Sunday, Benin President Patrice Talon announced that the coup had been thwarted, stating that the country's armed forces and National Guard remained loyal to the Republic, asserting that they stood firm, recaptured their positions, and cleared all resistance held by the mutineers. 14 people have been arrested in connection with the coup attempt. Well, this attempted coup adds Benin to a growing list of West African nations facing military takeovers. The timing of the coup is significant. Benin is preparing for a presidential election in April that would mark the end of President Talon's tenure after 9 years in power since 2016. And I'll take a post on X from Delta Wire. He wrote, "This trend will keep reoccurring amongst African states unless there is a massive international revolution that compels our leaders to start governing with fairness and equity until they start utilizing resources of the state for the welfare of the people. Africans will keep rising every day in whatever form, shape, or nomenclature until the people start seeing the dividends of democracy. They'll keep being rebellious. African leaders are the problem, and they evolved from amongst us. We're all culpable on this." Well, amid reactions to the failed coup attempt, the coup leader, Pascal Tigri, reappeared in a video which went viral on Sunday, stating that they undertook the mission to free Benin from the dictatorship of President Talon before going on to caution France to stay out of their internal affairs. Well, ECOWAS released a statement on X condemning the coup, describing it as an unconstitutional move, while Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that they stand in firm solidarity with the government and the people of the Republic of Benin. Subsequently, at the request of President Talon, Nigeria sent Air Force fighter jets and ground troops to take over Benin's airspace and help dislodge the coup plotters, eliciting more reactions. There was a statement that was sent out by Bayo Ononuga. If we can take that statement, he wrote, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commended the gallantry of Nigeria's military on Sunday for responding swiftly to the requests by the government of Benin Republic to save its 35-year-old democracy from coup plotters. Well, he went on to state that the Nigerian government acted on two separate requests from the government of Benin. First, by ordering fighter jets to enter the country and take over the airspace to help dislodge the coup plotters. And secondly, the authorities in Benin requested the deployment of Nigerian Air Force assets within Beninois airspace for surveillance and rapid intervention operations under Benin-led coordination with Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyode, confirming that all the requests had been fulfilled. And, I wanted to take that response from an ex-user. I'll take that response after I hear from you. I'd love your comments about what has been going on so far with the fact that, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had, responded to this coup attempt swiftly. And the word swiftly had to be highlighted, really. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay, so a number of things this morning. Number one is that Benin Republic is about the same age as Nigeria in terms of independence, gaining independence. Benin Republic gained independence on the 1st of August 1960. However, as you can tell, they haven't been able to fully enjoy the dividends of the democratic system of government they've adopted, since gaining independence. And this, you would see the trend across different countries on the African continent, and particularly the West Africa region, whereby there have been a number of coups. In the Republic of Benin itself, only less than a year ago, two close associates of the president were indicted as, a coup was foiled, and two close associates of the president were indicted and handed 20 years imprisonment for the attempted coup. A little over a year afterwards, we are now seeing another attempt of a coup. A number of things could have been said would be responsible, Oji. Number one, of course, is the lack of strong institutions, the fact that the people do not believe that they are enjoying the dividends of democracy. Only last month, the president had, through the rubber stamp assembly, extended the tenure of presidency limits from 5 years to 7 years. And this was said to be preparing the grounds for his anointed candidate in the next cycle of election, which is meant to take place next year, April of 2026. So these are some of the factors that some people have highlighted as a reason for why their agitations and a small group of influential people, as was described by the Foreign Interior Minister, have come together now to announce this coup. Thankfully, Nigeria rose up to the task as big brother. Dr. Bati said something earlier this morning, which I agree with, because I actually took note of that when it happened. Because one of the reasons, and number one, is Nigeria showing up as a big brother and still that influential force on the West African bloc. But also, very importantly, to sound a note of warning, because we have seen copycat coups along the West African region that anybody, group, individual that wants to think or has thoughts around this kind of move should know that Nigeria would respond and respond swiftly. That we have a military that's able to counter any kind of coup attempts and would block it. Now, there have been conversations around the legality of Nigerians' movement, and there's been a broad conversation around this. But we'll see whether or not the president will transmit a letter to the Senate before 12 noon as the deadline given to be able to express his invasion, as it were, or help, because they said he received a letter. But again, what people are saying is that, so Nigeria is strong like this.
Let me tell you,
we should be able to do this. I want that same swiftly to be given to the way, of course we know that terrorism is complicated. It's more complicated than this. But there are some certain areas. It means that we can swiftly arrest the bandits in the forest. We can swiftly get all these kidnappers. Nigeria has the power to do this. Let us do it.
Let me take the tweet about the idea of how Nigeria can swiftly respond. This is Chris, who wrote on X. Highlight the word swiftly. Interesting. So Nigeria has the capacity to swiftly defend democracy in another country, yet our democracy is in shambles. A democratically elected governor, Sim Fubara, was illegally removed. Terrorists are decimating our people and stealing their lands, and a brigadier general was killed by terrorists, etc. While at this point, I hope that the President of the United States can order the U.S. military to carry out military operations in Nigeria to flush out the terrorists swiftly. And, that was a harsh response. No, I mean, I would call it, it would appear harsh on television, but that's really the mindset of a lot of Nigerians who believe that these are the things that are going on in Nigeria. I'm hoping that Nigeria can actually also swiftly respond. Online, we also saw reports that the invasion had occurred. We saw some videos that were posted online as well. Yeah, that's one of the videos we saw from Cotonou with an actual, time code from that country. And I'll take a post from investigative journalist David Hudeyi, who wrote, "I think Nigeria is officially over tonight. Bombing your neighbor because a white guy in Paris told you to. Carrying out airstrikes against a fellow African country because Emmanuel Macron wanted you to. Only Apartheid South Africa ever did something like this." Rufai, let me come to you. A lot of people had been saying that the French president had intervened with that phone call that he made, telling the president that he was going to help with, security in Nigeria as well.
Okay, see, I might not support many things the government on ground does, but we can't pour on Nigeria's parade. It's not today that Nigeria has been investing heavily in securing our fellow West African brothers. We did that in Liberia. Over the years, between Liberia and Sierra Leone, we spent about $15 billion of our own money. So it's not today we've been doing that. The problems we had with it was that the president was supposed to notify the Senate about it. Secondly, the question we should now ask is, there's also a correlation with the case of Niger. That, okay, in the case of Niger, we didn't go in there because there were protests and everything, because of cultural ties and all of that. But the most important question we should ask is, what is leading to all this coup? African leaders themselves. Talon is not a say. See the protests. People were saying, Abba Talon. Down with Talon. So a lot of people were not really in support of this man that had victimized a lot of people in his country. He has put in his finance minister as a likely successor now. Just on Saturday, the National Assembly in Benin Republic passed a law saying they were going to extend presidential term and things like that. So the leaders themselves have not crowned themselves in glory. And that's what we should keep talking about. If we keep having these Yahoo-minded leaders on the African continent, that once they get into power, they think life is all about them. And it's not only Talon. We could go back to the days of Matthew Kerekou. Kerekou also did the same too in Benin Republic. So when are we going to say down with these leaders, abba with these leaders? Just like Thomas Isodore Noah Shankara used to say back in the days, colonialism, abba, imperialism, abba. When are we going to say abba with these bad leaders on the African continent? Because if we don't say that, the coup will continue to happen. Despite the fact that we say we do not support coup, we are totally against coup, the coups will continue to happen if we don't speak tall against these leaders that are making the condition rife for these coups.
Like I rightly said, Dr. Abati, French President Emmanuel Macron over the weekend pledged to increase, French support for Nigeria in tackling terrorism and its array of security challenges. After a conversation with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Macron made this declaration in a post on X on Sunday, in which he stated that no one can remain in the sidelines of the fight in the country. And, really quickly on everything that we've discussed so that we can sum this up, and then I'll move to the other stories.
Okay, first, let me talk geopolitics. Now, Nigeria is the most prominent country in West Africa. It's the big power in West Africa. Now, up north, you have Egypt. Down south, you have South Africa. So, in terms of geopolitics, Africa, the primary powers relate with Africa in terms of that tripod. Now, America still has its influence with Egypt. It seems to be losing influence with Nigeria. Nigeria is moving towards France. Nigeria is moving towards China and other partners. South Africa, America does not even have a good relationship with South Africa. Now, the subtext, in my view, is that you now see America trying to see how it can regain its foothold in West Africa. A West Africa that has, a part of it has gone in the direction of Russia, another part has gone in the direction of China. Nigeria is very friendly under this president with France. So President Macron also calls, he says he's having this solidarity with Nigeria. So it's the subtext that we should look at. And that is why it's important that Nigeria is now setting up a working group led by the NSA, Ribadu, and we are talking to America, and they are talking about strategic partnership. The subtext of it is, I think America is trying to find a way to work its way back to regain its influence within this region. As for the coup in Benin, Republic of Benin, it was President Boni Yayi, former president of Republic of Benin, who used to refer to Republic of Benin as Nigeria's 37th state. And he used to refer to President Jonathan as my elder brother, and President Obasanjo as his father. That's how close we are, you know, both in terms of culture, in terms of amity, and all of that. So that was why I said, you will say that President Tinubu has acted reasonably by intervening in that country. Not on the invitation of France. I have not seen where it was France that asked Nigeria to go to Cameroon. France does not have such powers. What the Ononuga statement quoted is that there are two requests from Republic of Benin.
I read out, yes.
Yes,
I read that
so two requests, and it was on the basis of that they acted. Two, President Tinubu may have said, look, we could suffer collateral damage if there is a coup next door. There could be demonstration effect and all of that. So he deployed the troops. So you may say that is reasonable. But does he have the authority to deploy our troops?
Those were the questions.
Air Force. Does he have the powers under the Constitution? And I say he does not. And that was why I said earlier that Section 305, sub 2 and 3 says, okay, even if he acts unilaterally, within a period of 14 days, he has to seek the concurrence of the National Assembly of Nigeria. And that this morning is early enough for him to quickly go to that National Assembly, call a meeting of the National Defense Council, and get the ratification of those bodies for deploying our troops.
Yes.
Because it is we, you and I, that will pay for the troops that were sent there. You know,
which is why you've seen...
And Nigeria is a sovereign country.
Right.
So he needs to get that concurrence if they are going to remain there. And if the Senate says no, the National Assembly says no, as they did in the example of Niger, then those troops will have to return immediately.
So even
is what the law says.
So even when the president of the other country requested for him to have invaded,
you have to go through the National Assembly.
So you see the reason why, you know, people on social media, investigative journalists like David Hundeyin will say that, you know, Nigeria should not have acted that way. People are now even saying, so why are we condemning the invasion that Trump had said, or Trump had said that he was going to?
No, that's a different
I'm just saying, those are the response. That's the response.
It's not intellectually connected.
No, why not?
If
Trump said that if Nigeria does not keep its house in order, we will send troops on ground. That's all he said. And then the whole country went, you know, berserk.
Now Trump will need to get the concurrence of Congress.
Which is why he has said...
He doesn't get.
He has to...
No, the extract in Venezuela, did he get the concurrence of Congress?
No, he has not declared war yet.
Did he get the concurrence of Venezuela in the airstrikes he did in Venezuela?
No, he's still doing body language. In the Eastern Pacific Ocean.
Oji has a point. Oji is right.
Oji is right.
This is the conversation.
It's the same conversation. No, she is correct.
But why is it not different?
It is the same conversation.
Why is it not different?
He must get permission from Congress.
Which is what you're saying now.
He cannot declare war.
Which is what you're saying.
The Congress is now tackling Trump on those airstrikes now. That's just it. So it's the same conversation.
No,
you are correct.
He has not declared war.
It's not a case of declaration of war. Openly bombing another person's territorial ground. It's not a declaration of war.
Is Nigeria bombing?
Do you know he has not multiple strikes?
Okay, so
Republic of Benin.
Oh, didn't they bomb targets in Republic of Benin?
No, are they bombing?
Is there not bombing of targets of Republic? Didn't Oji show it?
No, the circumstances are different.
Still on, I really doubt that they are different, but still on security.
Oji, you are correct.
The National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, Ribadu hosted a U.S. congressional delegation as part of ongoing talks around security in Nigeria. The delegation included Representative Mario Diaz-Balart, as well as Riley Moore, who were sent on a fact-finding mission. Ribadu expressed optimism that the engagement will deepen trust, collaboration, and shared commitment to peace and security. Well, in a post on X, Riley Moore posted a picture of himself standing with Reverend Wilfred Chikpa Anaigbe, the bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi in Benin, with a caption that he came to Nigeria in the name of the Lord and on behalf of the American people. And this is what we're seeing online, that the conversation has begun. Yeah. Now, this is the rep that, is leading the investigation. Yeah. He was sent by Donald Trump to actually lead that investigation in Congress. And it's good to see that, Nuhu Ribadu and, even the U.S. ambassador of Nigeria, they all met and the conversation has begun. Yeah. So hopefully, this is, I believe, the right step, the right sort of diplomacy that we need to see in tackling this sort of insecurity that we see in the nation. Because we have discussed this story at length, I'd like to take another story now. We'll head over to Imo State now, where the police command uncovered an illegal mortuary along the Owerri-Aba Road being used for storing mutilated bodies linked to an organ harvesting ring. Over the weekend, security operatives reportedly found hundreds of decomposing and dismembered bodies inside the morgue, which has since been identified as the Ugudi Cottage Hospital and Mortuary Services. And upon inspecting the morgue, the police also uncovered a shrine belonging to the suspect named Stanley Okparugo, who is currently on the run.
We visited this place. We saw scattered corpses, mutilated corpses in this environment. What we have seen, the corpses that we discovered are more than 100. And the owner of the mortuary is on the run. We sent for him, he refused to come. And severally, we mounted surveillance, whether we'll be able to get him, he's on the run. And by the information we gathered, they use this place in dumping the corpses of what they call organ harvest. Organ harvest. And we are appealing on members of the public, whoever that have corpse here, to come forward, because His Excellency wants to unveil who are running this unauthorized mortuary. Because it's been in existing. It's not that we discover it. And by His grace, we arrest the suspects, and he's going to face the full wrath of the law. Thank you.
This is horrible. Well, the police command have told travelers to stay alert as we approach the holidays while reiterating their commitment to residents' safety. They've also said that, they're going to shut down that morgue at this point because of unsanitary situations. If you had seen the video, we'd seen a shrine there as well. It actually was not running as a morgue. If you had seen some of those horrific graphic images of people's bodies dismembered, and we haven't heard anything from the Imo State government as we speak. Meanwhile, there are mounting calls for the closure of Imo State Police Command's anti-kidnapping unit known as Tiger Base, following persistent allegations of torture, extortion, unlawful detention, and extrajudicial killings. The allegations center on several high-profile deaths in custody. In May, Japhet Njoku, a market security official, allegedly died after 3 months of detention over an alleged cigarette theft. His family says police demanded 4 million naira for his release while torturing him to extract a confession. Another case involves businessman Levi Okpara, a 46-year-old father of 5 who reportedly died in custody in October 2023 after his arrest over what relatives described as a domestic misunderstanding with his wife. Family members claim the man was tortured and stabbed on the neck by officers, while former detainees, who have also spoken out, describe their experiences as walking through the valley of the shadow of death. One survivor, Chinonso, says she was detained for 3 months, with police refusing to release her until she confessed to crimes she didn't commit. Meanwhile, the Imo State Police Command has strongly denied the allegations. Spokesman DSP Henry Okoye dismissed the claims as false and unfounded, describing them as a smear campaign by criminal elements seeking to undermine ongoing security operations so far. I'll come to you on this story. I'd like for you to tie in both stories. First, on one hand, we see a morgue with dismembered bodies, and then we're hearing from people in Imo State have gotten so many requests for this sort of story to be told. It's almost like the days of SARS at this point.
Absolutely. All right, so going to the first story, looking at because for the situation to have gotten this bad, there's a failure in the area of oversight. So who are the people responsible for overseeing morgues, regular inspections for morgues in states? It's a state Ministry of Health, State Ministry of Health. It is the Anatomy Council, and we also have the environmental agencies in these states. One of these agencies, or all of these agencies, have failed in this discharge of their duties, because if there had been regular inspections of these facilities, then it would have been uncovered that it was an organ harvesting, masquerading as a morgue. That's one. Number two is also there are stories around even where there's complicity, where people are able to pay their way and there's collusion, or they are able to work with these regulatory bodies or these oversight functionary bodies, and they don't actually do their work. So this is calling on the Imo State Department of Health or Ministry of Health to look into this matter, not just for the morgue in Imo State, but even across the country. We have heard, really terrible things about what happens to the dead. So in Nigeria, both the living and the dead, it was fella that sang everybody gets a double wahala for everybody. But the truth is that we need to look into how we preserve our dead and ensure there's dignity even in death. And this is the onus of the state government. Talking about state government, it's interesting that it's the same Imo State we're talking about today. And I'm hoping that today's awareness will draw a response from them. But even beyond the response is action. We've heard of human rights abuses during the days of SARS. We know it still happens. We know that despite all the committees and panels of inquiry set up, there are still some unfinished businesses that are there. And this is part of the symptoms of such things, whereby people have authority of state or authority in one form or the other abuse those authorities. It's a larger issue across the Nigerian institutions and systems. We've seen it in Anambra State. We talked about Ibubeagu and the Anambra State Local Security Task Force. Yes, we've seen it in many parts. So it's not just Imo State. We have to ensure that there's a respect for human life, dignity, and ensure that people do not face this kind of degrading, humiliating, and in fact lethal or fatal treatment in the hands of enforcers. That's what we are calling for this morning.
Very well said. Now, the stories out here. The residents in Imo State are calling for, some sort of disbandment of tiger base in their state, because they have complained enough. And the Imo State government, we hope that there will be some sort of response. Actually, we got from the police, but we want to hear from the Imo State government. In Edo State, Governor OjyOkpe received a delegation of Ohaneze Ndigbo in Benin City and condemned the wave of violence in the southeast, saying that kidnappers are going after innocent residents and using fear tactics in a bid to blackmail President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and discourage him from running for re-election in 2027. He then compared the present-day unrest to what former President Goodluck Jonathan endured when he was up for re-election in 2015, saying that even though they succeeded with him, this time they know better. Let's take a look.
No matter the intimidation, we will not succumb to blackmail. Because what they are doing now is that they will go and kidnap people just because they want to discourage Mr. President. But Mr. President is resolute. And you cannot, because you are kidnapping people for somebody not to win an election. It's not fair. They did this to Goodluck, and they succeeded.
All right, this is Edo State government, governor. I guess we've finally heard from him about kidnapping spree, but go ahead, Dr. Bat.
Okay, Governor Monday or Okpebolo, he can meet with anybody within his constituency. In this particular case, he's meeting with, Ohaneze Ndigbo, Edo State, who are more interested in, how their markets will thrive and how they will get necessary protection. So that's in order. That looks good. But the governor kept saying there's some people that he referred to as they are the ones kidnapping people so as to stop President Bola Ahmed Tinubu from getting re-election in 2027. He then said that was how this proverbial, mystical, mythical, imagined day, that was the same thing they did to President Goodluck Jonathan. Now, the Constitution recognizes him as Chief Security Officer of his state, even if in reality he may not have the commensurate powers. So since he has an idea of who these kidnappers are, who these saboteurs are, he should work with the security agencies. He should provide information from the time of President Goodluck Jonathan to now, to say, I know these kidnappers, and this is their motive. They don't want President Tinubu to come back, but to just give us some bites, and just make, vacuous statements. So I think that if he's not going to talk, the security agencies should, engage him and ask him, who are these they?
Well, this is the same Edo State. This is the same Edo State that they've had like two,
Yes, now.
Very serious kidnapping.
The first question you should ask Dr. Abati, what was he doing for a living as at that point in time that he said they were attacking? No, that's the first question you should ask him. The second question you should ask him, he knows so much. He is not be able to solve the problem. Did you see? Remember the protest in Remi? Another part. This was the same man that when a skirmish happened, he went to beg in the north. Thirdly, this is the same man that want to give President Tinubu almost more votes than the total number of voters in his state, or close to the total number of voters in his state.
Oh, well, all right. Well, before we take our milestone report now.
Should have its limits.
No. He doesn't have his limit in Nigeria. Under Tinubu's government, it can never have his limit under President Tinubu's government.
He's enamored with the president.
I think first he should tackle insecurity in his state. Yes. That's the major thing that we charge the governor of Edo State. Now we know that he can respond. He should respond to those kidnappings, though. Really, we want to hear that. Well, before we take our milestone report, let's briefly highlight some photos of the day with the Chief of Air Staff, Sunday Aneke, visiting the Nigerian Air Force Alpha jet pilots who managed to safely eject from the military aircraft that crashed on Saturday at the Kainji Airport base, in a series of photos posted on Sunday on Facebook. The Air Force said Aneke's visit was to commend the crew for their courage, professionalism, and sound judgment. The Air Force said the aircraft developed a fault after takeoff, but the pilots maneuvered the jet away from areas close to the residents before then ejecting themselves. Thank God for their lives. Really. Thank God, and I love to see that image and the optics of the Chief of Air Staff going there to visit. Thank God for their lives. Now under milestones, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Remi Tinubu, made history on Sunday when she was installed as Yeye Asiwaju Gbogbo Ile Oduwa by the Oni of Ife, His Imperial Majesty Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi, during the grand finale of the monarch's 10th coronation anniversary celebrations in Ile-Ife, Osun State. The installation ceremony saw traditional rites performed in accordance with ancient customs as dignitaries from across Nigeria, including Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State, Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the Sultan of Sokoto, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and traditional rulers from across Yoruba land gathered to witness the historic moment. The title, Yeye Asiwaju Gbogbo Ile-Ife Oduwa, carries profound historical significance, having been previously held by the late Hannah Idowu Awolowo, wife of the revered nationalist and statesman Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Speaking during the ceremony, the Oni expressed deep appreciation to Senator Tinubu, describing her as the mother of the nation who stood by him through thick and thin exactly 10 years ago, when he was installed as Oni. Well, congratulations to the First Lady of Nigeria.
Now our mama be this, so we don't get another one. Now our mama be this, so
Remi Tinubu.
now our mama be this, so we don't get another one.
Well, all right.
Now our
Mama be this, so
Congratulations.
What we say, okay. Aṣíwájú. Yeye.
Gbogbo ilẹ̀ Oòduà.
Gbogbo ilẹ̀. Congratulations to the First Lady of Nigeria. We'll take our good news report now. With the World Soccer body, FIFA, awarding US President Donald Trump its newly created FIFA Peace Prize, a medal created to reward individuals who have taken exceptional and extraordinary actions for peace. In accepting the award, Donald Trump thanked his family and the First Lady, Melania Trump, stating that the award was one of the greatest honors of his life. Let's take a look.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, this is your prize. This is your Peace Prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
I'm gonna wear it right now.
Okay, let me hold. Fantastic. Excellent.
Well, thank you very much. This is truly one of the great honors of my life. But most importantly, I just want to thank everybody. The world is a safer place now. The United States 1 year ago was not doing too well. And now I have to say we're the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we're going to keep it that way. Thank you all. Thank you. Have a great time. And Johnny, a tremendous honor. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. Finally, he has gotten a Peace Award. The man that has been pushing for the Nobel Peace Prize has now finally gotten a Peace Prize.
You were saying psychopaths should have a limit. You can see with Trump, he doesn't have a limit too.
This is fine.
Well, all right.
But that's psychophancy. How many wars has he won to get a Peace Award?
Okay,
That's psychophancy.
okay. Well, all right. I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on what's trending. Rufai, welcome back. Well, all right. And congratulations to US President Donald Trump. That's all I have for you guys on what's trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.